Good morning, everyone. This morning I am speaking to Steve Bean. Steve tells me that he is on, so I'm sure that he'll be popping in a couple of seconds. Where are we? Okay, there we are. Okay, Steve, there we are. You would think the number of times I've actually done this now that I'd kind of be used to all the technology. Oh, here we go. And with that he came. Good morning, Steve. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Fabulous. I was just saying, the number of times that I've actually done these little Q&As, you would think that I'd be used to the technology by now. And here I am, I'm frantically pressing buttons and trying to make this to work and trying to make that to work. But this is all new. Anyway, I sort of digress, as I always do, don't I? And let me just say up front, I have got a bit of a cough. Not as in a coronavirus, oh my God, sort of a way. But as in it's hay fever season and I do tend to get a bit of a dry cough. So I will try really hard not to sort of cough through your little session, as it were. Okay, so tell me, who are you?
I am Steve Bean. I am a guitarist and I play for weddings and I also do guitar tuition.
Very good. Okay, so whereabouts are you based, Steve?
I'm based near Stamford, a little village just outside of Stamford. So that's between Stamford and Peterborough. So that's my stomping ground, as it were.
Okay. Do you sort of just go local, or do you actually cover weddings and things nationally?
I do and have done. I tend to work more locally. I tend to work mainly in the around Rutland Water area.
It's nice there, isn't it? Rutland Water.
Beautiful, yeah. And there's so many good venues there as well. So that's quite nice for me because it's only 15 minutes from where I live. So it's nice to do that. Mm-hmm. Stamford's got some lovely venues as well, and of course Peterborough, and so that and of course the villages around as well. So I do tend to keep it quite local. But having said that, I'm quite happy to travel. I suppose I advertise more locally, so that's why I end up working that way.
So you probably sort of get booked up quicker with like sort of local weddings. But obviously this is going to go out in the hub. The hub sounds good, doesn't it? The hub.
It does.
It does. And we have lots of brides and couples from all over the UK. So would you go further, Steve? Or where's about as far as as you would go?
The furthest I've done north was Liverpool. Furthest south was right on the coast, Southampton. And I've been to Stratford upon Avon, so I'm quite happy to travel anywhere really. Obviously, then you start adding in the travelling costs, but I'm always happy to do it, and especially when it's out of peak season. Yeah. Then it's always good to pick up extra work, so you can be more friendly with the travelling costs, then, can't you?
What about destination weddings, Steve? Would you ever consider going, if somebody asked you to sort of go somewhere beautiful in the sunshine, would you think about going there?
That would be tough, wouldn't it,
Yeah.
I would. The only thing there, I obviously then I have equipment to take or to hire. Yeah. So, but I mean, if it was a way to make it work, it'd be absolutely fantastic. I'd love to go. Yeah. Anywhere.
It'd be difficult, wouldn't it, having to sort of, this far-flung beach and the sunset and all of that business. That'd be a tough call, but you would take one for the team, would you?
I would. I'd be prepared to do it, yes.
Very noble.
In the name of love.
Very noble of you. Obviously, like sort of as you said, for those types of things, maybe like a little bit further away, then you would need to look at the overall package, wouldn't you? Because it's not just a matter of getting in the car. If there's like other costs and things involved, planes, trains, and automobiles, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, well, what I've done in the past is if somebody just wants me to just play for their wedding ceremony or something like that, then I would obviously charge the travel as full. But say if they're booking me to play for their wedding ceremony and their reception drinks and their wedding breakfast, and it's the bigger package, then you can bring the travel costs down a bit and sort of absorb that.
Yeah, yeah. So you can pretty much play it by ear, can't you? And it'll just be dependent on like sort of a couple's sort of needs and things. How did Steve Bean come to being, really, if you know what I mean? How did you actually come to sort of where you are now? What kind of background do you have?
Well, I've always had a background in music. I've always been in bands. I studied music at Tech College. Got my A-level in music. I went. It's funny. I went off travelling to Australia.
Oh, nice! Didn't know that.
I did a working holiday, and we ended up not being able to get work. And it's funny. The best work I found was busking. And I made a lot of money busking in Australia. But it's quite sad I didn't discover that until towards the end of the holiday.
Time to come home.
Yeah, but it was an eye opener. And then when I got back home, a friend of mine, had been to a wedding, and they said that there was a musician at their wedding they went to, and they said it was a really lovely addition to the day. And they said, why don't you think about doing that? You're great at it. And so I just did. I took their advice. I went to a couple of wedding fairs. This is going back 20 years ago now.
20 years, Steve. Oh, my days. And you're nowhere near as old as me.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, trust me, you are.
Of course, you don't look it.
Oh, you're a sweetheart. You'll go far, you will.
I'll try. So that's how it started, and I did my first wedding fair, and I got a couple of bookings, and it's just gone from there. And so that's it. That's the history of it, and I've been doing it ever since.
The very first time I ever saw you play, I didn't realise at the time that you actually did what you currently do. You were actually in a local band, Motor City Vipers.
Oh yes, the Vipers.
Very,
absolutely, yeah.
I'm a big soul music fan, so that was like sort of the very first time that I actually saw you play, and I can remember thinking at the time, well, this is good, I like this. So yeah, and then later we obviously crossed paths, and big plug here, and you came along to a truly scrumptious wedding fair.
Absolutely, yes, and I'm still coming.
You do. Tell me, Steve,
yeah, they are brilliant.
A particular type of music that you like to play, or will you just be sort of able to do whatever couples want?
Pretty much. I mean, I play classical guitar, so everything I play comes across in that kind of way. But I always like to take requests, especially if there's something that's very personal. So I often learn something for the bride to walk down the aisle to.
That's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, many brides have a song that they've always thought, when I get married, that's what I want to come down to. So, and touch wood, I haven't come across one yet that I've had to say, oh, I can't do that.
No, okay.
So I've always been able to do it. But yeah, I've had some quite bizarre ones as well.
Have you? Can I ask what some of the bizarre ones are? It's not picture something strange, is it?
No, we haven't had that one yet, but we have had Highway to Hell as the exit music. Coming from out of the ceremony.
After the deed was done.
Yeah, which is good. It shows that they obviously had quite a good sense of
humor.
Don't Stop Me Now is quite a favourite for coming out of the ceremony as well.
Is it?
Yeah, and if it goes ahead this year, we don't know at the moment, but if it does, I'll be playing Bat Out of Hell for a bride to walk down the aisle to. See,
that's a really unusual one, isn't it? Bat Out. But I suppose
strangely, it's very beautiful actually when you in parts of that song. Yeah. So yeah, it will work. I think it worked lovely.
And that's the thing, because like sort of couples personalise the wedding with sort of like in terms of colours and all that type of thing, and put their slant on it, and they do that with the music as well, don't they? So it gives you like a little insight into them as a couple, doesn't it?
Absolutely, that's how they can sort of show their personality, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah, about hell. That's good, isn't it? So really, the sort of answer to that is then, if people look through like your sort of set list of music that you can offer them, and what they're looking for isn't there, then they can sort of say, Steve,
Absolutely.
can you sort of learn this for me?
And I always promise that I can do one, and if I can do more, then I will.
Okay.
Because it's nice. Obviously, as you say, it's nice to put your own stamp on the day, and
yeah.
And so that's the perfect way to do it.
I think music, without sort of getting a bit cheesy, but I mean, I can be a bit cheesy anyway, but I think music sort of touches you somewhere, doesn't it? And when you associate a certain piece of music with probably the most special day of your life, it can really move you, can't it?
I agree, and obviously I'm biased, as are all musicians, but when it comes to music for parts of the ceremony and during the wedding breakfast, but especially the ceremony, really, you can't beat having live music. You just can't, because all recorded music is trying to recapture that live feel, isn't it? So it's great to actually to have a live musician, I think. But then, as I say, of course, I'm biased. So.
Sure, yeah. But the thing is, then I always think sort of like in time to come, it instantly takes you back, doesn't it? To
Absolutely,
how you felt at that particular moment, and it sort of takes you back to that memories. So many different songs and things that you actually hear, and you think, oh gosh, do you remember I was doing that then, and I was doing this, and it can either make you laugh or sort of make you cry, but it's the one thing that stirs, I think, such a powerful emotion in people, doesn't it, really?
I'd agree. It's completely emotive. It's very powerful. Sometimes I've heard a piece of music and I can almost associate the smell. I can always smell, where I was at the time, which is bizarre, but that's how, much it can get in there, yeah.
There's a saying, now I've been doing a lot of these and I frequently get the sayings wrong, but I'll give it a go, is that people say that they will forget what you tell them, forget what they see, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And that's what I think music does as well. There's lots of songs that are very special to me, and as soon as I hear them, your heart goes, and when both my daughters got married, they had special music. Again, every time that I hear it, takes me right back to like sort of the girls' things. When I got married, which was a very long time ago.
Few years back.
Well, yeah, just a tad. What are we doing now? Nearly 43 now. 43 in July.
Blimey.
Half my life, in fact more than half my life, but even after all these years, you can still hear that piece of music, and it sort of makes me I like him.
it's very emotive, and when I do fairs, often couples will come up, or the family will come up, and they'll be like the bride with her bridesmaids and her mum, and ask me to play something, and I'll play it, and it's not uncommon for a few of them to all be in tears.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I always say, my playing's not that bad, is it?
You should have some tissues on the stand, Steve, the next time that you're doing it.
I have considered it, yeah.
Yeah, folk have sweeties and things sitting about. You need to have a packet of Kleenex sat on there, don't you? So that if somebody stirs the soul, doesn't it, that you could actually have them.
Good idea.
Tell me about like sort of a typical day at like a wedding. What kind of time would you arrive, and how long are you there, and that sort of thing?
Well, obviously, depending on bless you. Depending on when I'm playing, but so let's assume it's for the ceremony. So say if the ceremony was at 12 o'clock, then I'd be ready to start playing at 11:30 when the guests start to arrive. So I'd be sat in the room and the guests would come in and I'd be ready to play. So I'd actually arrive an hour before that. So if the wedding's at 12, then I'll be there at sort of 10:30 to get set up, because I like to take my time, get comfortable, warm up, make sure that, sure I'm on it.
Fingers are working.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, it's got to be perfect, hasn't it? And so then when the guests come in, so I carry on playing for them. And of course, so by the time the bride comes down the aisle, I'm ready to play for that moment. That's the moment when, that's probably the only moment in the day, actually, when everybody is quiet.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe one or two children.
Yeah, always, isn't it? Yeah, running around like, you know. But that's the money shot, isn't it? That's, you know, that's the moment.
That is the moment. So,
As like a little girl, she's waited her entire life just to kind of sort of just make her appearance, and then there you are, isn't it?
yeah, so that's the big, the build up is for that, and then of course then there's the rest of the ceremony. The during the register I play some music, and then as they leave, as a married couple and take their guests out for the photographs and stuff, then I play them out. Okay. So then sometimes I go and play outside whilst they do photographs and drinks, and then sometimes after that I play for the wedding breakfast as well.
All right, so you can actually be there quite a while.
It can be quite a long day, or I can just do, you know, just through the wedding breakfast as well. So, you know, and that would be the same sort of thing. I usually arrive an hour early before that and just get set up and have a warm up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they can be quite long days, and if I do a long day, I know I've done it.
Yeah, I'd imagine. Yeah, but that's nice, though, isn't it? So people are able to get, you know, if they want you just for a short period of time, then you're able to offer that. But equally, if they want to sort of, you know, listen to the music for considerably longer, then you're able to offer that as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Good. Steve, how far in advance should people be sort of looking at booking you?
I suppose 8 to 12 months, I would say. Although sometimes I take bookings 2 years in advance.
Yeah.
But if we look at the way the wedding fair cycle goes, the autumn fairs, I generally tend to get booked for the next wedding season.
Yeah.
And then the spring wedding fairs, obviously that carries on booking for that season, but then people start to book for the next year as well. So sometimes, I suppose, truthfully, it can be 18 months in advance. So yeah, so anywhere between sort of 6 to 18 months. Yeah,
I suppose the key is, you know, once that someone maybe has their venue booked and they have their date, if they have their heart set on having you, it's kind of best to sort of get something in the diary, isn't it? Rather than thinking, oh, well, I'll leave that for about 6 months before, because then you might find that it's gone.
That's the problem with all you know, musicians. There's only one of us. So, and although there are other musicians doing similar things, everyone's got their own kind of personality and their own unique style. So yeah, if you've got your heart set on somebody in particular, I'd say as soon as you've got your venue, get in touch with them. Yeah.
Okay. What's the process, Steve? What happens when, say, somebody comes along to a truly scrumptious wedding fair, and they think, oh, do you know, I like him. What would happen from then?
Okay, so we'd obviously have the chat there. If they decided they wanted to book me, then I usually just take a deposit from them, and that secures their date. We start talking about music. We would have talked about the music before that, really, in truth, but I would send them my repertoire, and they go through and they pick all the songs that they like, and if there's anything they don't like, so that they can make it personal to them. So say if it was just playing for the drinks reception, then they could go through and they could say, we love these songs, we're not so fond of these ones, and is there any chance you could play something by Oasis for us?
Yeah.
So we'll do that. If it's for the ceremony, it's a little bit more involved, because they need to pick what they want to walk down the aisle to, what they want me to play during the sign of the register, and what they want as the exit music. So sometimes people can just go through the list and go, oh, we like that, and could you learn this one? And then that's fine. Other times people are not so it's not so easy for them to pick.
Yeah.
They've got too much choice, or they're undecided, they don't know how a song might sound on the guitar. So then they come to my studio, which is where we are now, and I go through and play them you know, the songs that they think they might like, maybe some of the suggestions, and then they can pick from there.
Yeah, because that's the thing as well. You see, because I know lots of songs, but I don't know the names of lots of songs. You know, so
especially classical music.
Yeah, you know, you would look through, and I'd think, well, I haven't got a clue, you know. And often you sort of need that guidance. You need somebody to say, oh, this sounds like sort of a little bit like that. And especially if it is sort of classical, because my knowledge of classical music is probably about sort of that big. But if I was to listen to a lot of classical, I think, oh yeah, my dad used to be a big classical music fan, and because Mum used to say, "Oh, Dad's got the funeral music on again," you know. He was like a really big fan, so I probably have heard an awful lot of it. But I think people would need to be guided a little bit sometimes, don't they?
With classical music, you will know the piece, you'll have heard it, and it's always used in television and film, but very few people know what it's called.
Yeah, that's it.
And they're often just called something like Adagio,
yeah
number 13 or something like that. So sometimes it's not very imaginative titles, but yeah, that's definitely true.
So if somebody came to you and they told you that they wanted X, Y, and Z, say to walk up the aisle, or very sort of set pieces that they know, but sort of the rest of it, can you just play something for me? You're able to adapt and sort of put in, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Some people don't tick the list. They just say just go for it.
Yeah.
You know, like the sound, and you know, or perhaps they might pick maybe 6 songs and say we definitely like these.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the day it's always good to play it by ear, especially for the drinks and the dinner time, because you can feel the atmosphere in the room, and
yeah.
you might play something and, you know, somebody will be nodding their head to it, and so you think,
Yeah.
right, well, that's going down well, I'll do more of that. I suppose like a DJ would, you know, they want people, whatever's keeping them there, they do it.
Yeah.
And people can come up to me at the wedding and say, oh, you know, can you play a song? And if I know it, I'll play it for them. And they can have a look at my list and pick a song there and then on the day as well, which I think is lovely, because it just makes it more interactive and just more fun.
Yeah, it actually makes it much more personal, isn't it? You know, because if somebody's there and they've got their granny and, you know, she really likes whatever, you know, that particular song is, then providing that you would know it, because obviously they can't just spring this sort of random song on you, something you think, well, I don't know. But, you know, you can make it personal. And like you say, that's the beauty of someone like you, that they're able to play to the room. You sort of adapt it, don't you? You know, depending on where you are and what people are sort of responding and reacting to, aren't they?
It's all about the feedback, really, you know, and you do get the vibes, as it were, you know, and go with them. But yeah, it's always nice as well for people to go back to their table and go, he's going to play this one for you now, you know, and then that's just a nice touch, isn't it? You know.
Yeah, because then that sort of brings in the guests as well, doesn't it? So that it's clearly it's all about the bride and groom, or the bride and the groom and groom, you know, but it's all about the couple, isn't it? But like you say, it's important to be able to sort of bring in the guests a little bit and make it sort of like a personal experience for them. And then, like, you know, like you say, when he sits around the table, this one's for me, you know, this is dedicated for you. That type of thing, isn't it? It's nice.
Nice. It makes it fun.
Yeah, nice little stunt. So we were sort of saying that people, if they'd like to book you, that they kind of need to sort of do it sooner rather than later, really.
Always the case, really. You could just, it's happened before when I've seen people and I said, oh, seen you at wedding fairs, and I keep seeing them and they keep nodding and coming and playing a song, and then eventually they'll say, you know, can you play for us? I might have seen them walking around for 2 years, and then when I can't play for them, I always feel terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I always think, you know, if you're able to get something last minute, then there's normally a reason for that, which is probably not you know what I mean, not sort of the best thing, but it's just if something's good, just do it, you know, just get it booked and just get it sorted, and then it's quite therapeutic getting things ticked off your list as well, isn't it? You know, because you just think, Steve's going to play at my wedding, boom, and then you kind of move on to something else, don't you?
Well, yeah, I think it gives you something to look forward to, because you know what you've got. And I wouldn't say for me, I'd say for every aspect of your wedding, if you see a car that you like, get the car, because there won't be another car that's the same as that car. There'll be cars similar, you know, But yeah, but whatever it is, I'd say get it. So that's the way it works, isn't it? Once once you've got your venue, then then you can go ahead. But I suppose the venue is the first thing that you need.
Yeah.
Although I am pretty sure in pretty much every case, the dress is probably the first thing that gets picked.
Well, clearly, it's all about the frock, isn't it? You know. But the thing is, you know, I mean, being really female about it, when you sort of go shopping, you pick up, I'm sure your lovely wife will do the same, you sort of pick something up, and then you wander around the shop, and you touch everything, and then you come back to the first thing that you kind of picked up in the first place. But if you apply that sort of to like your wedding planning, by the time you come back, your frock's gone, isn't it? You know, so when you see it,
maybe
book it.
I would say so, yes.
Yeah, so would I. Steve, if you had to give a top tip to somebody, what would it be? Ignoring the fact that we've just said, if you see it, book it, sort of do it. Do you think there's any piece of advice that you would give people?
Oh, you've put me on the spot now.
Have I? Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Edit this part out if you like.
Well, top tip for couples getting married.
Yeah, just sort of anything that you think this is what you need to be thinking about.
I don't know really. In terms, I suppose there must be a lot more higher tips than this. But in terms of music, I would say do think about the music. It's often something that gets overlooked. You know, people will concentrate on all of the other parts of the day, like for example the food and things like that, but the music will add so much to the mood and the atmosphere, and I think that can't be overstated really.
And it kind of sets the tone, it sets the theme, doesn't it really, for like the whole day. I mean,
it's your soundtrack. It's the soundtrack to your day, and I think it you know, it will lift it. Yeah.
I mean, are you equally happy sort of playing inside a hotel or inside a venue or outside, or is there any kind of restrictions there, or you just wherever really?
I play wherever. It's always nice to play outside if you can. The sound is always really good outside. But no, I'm happy to play in any space really, as long as there's a space.
Well, there's a space you could squish in, or maybe not squish in, maybe just sort of spread out a little bit. Yeah.
Music is good in any space, I think.
Music fills the soul. It's wonderful. Right, Steve. Let me just say, Steve will be at the virtual wedding fair, which is taking place this weekend. Now, this video is going to be posted in lots of different places, and people will be viewing it at lots of different times. So if you're not viewing it on the weekend of the bank holiday in May, the wedding fair is not taking place this weekend, so it's not happening. So what I will do is I'll put Steve's details. I'll put like sort of your website, I'll put the telephone number, and I'll put your email in the comments when we actually post this out. So if you see anything like sort of at a truly scrumptious wedding show, the chances are Steve's likely to be there. If it's one of the virtual wedding shows in the wedding hub, Steve's likely to be there. If it's at any other time, then you need to look in the comments, and they'll be able to sort of get in touch with you there. Yeah, is that all right?
Absolutely. That'd be absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much. It's been lovely as always chatting to you, and we shall chat again.
Yes, and I look forward to seeing you, if not before, on Sunday.
On Sunday.
Saturday.
Yeah. Okie dokie. Take care, Steve.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.